Obstetrician Nicholas Baclini works amid the beeps of machines monitoring prematurely born babies in a Beirut hospital. But now he contends with the bursts of bombs falling on his city. And he says he's seen a rise in premature births and infant mortality since hostilities ramped up between Israel and Hezbollah. One reason he told Reuters is that a bomb blast has enough concussive force to induce premature labor in mothers even at a distance.
If you have a bombing not far away and the pressure that comes to where you are, the building, comes to your belly and puts pressure on your belly, your water breaks. When your water breaks, the contractions start. And even if you're in the 5th month, you're going to give birth. So you have premature labors and you have early miscarriages. But that's due to the bombing, not the stress.
600 pregnant women remain in Lebanon, with about 4,000 expected to deliver in the next 3 months. That's according to the UN Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs in October. Pregnancy can already be fraught with complications, but the war has meant many are also now displaced, without adequate shelter, nutrition, and sanitation. He says he's had mothers coming for deliveries only to have no home to return to after.
You deliver her, and then the next day you come and you say, Madame, we have to leave because there are so many women who want to give birth. We need the bed. She says to you, I don't have a house anymore, but I told you, doctor, I prefer to sleep another night in the hospital.
Access to safe antenatal, postnatal, and pediatric care has also become increasingly difficult. The Lebanese government says the Israeli campaign has forced about 1.2 million people from their homes since the conflict intensified in September.
U.S. President Joe Biden on Sunday toured the storm-shattered parts of St. Petersburg, Florida, meeting with survivors and surveying the damage caused by Hurricane Milton last week. Milton is being blamed for 17 deaths and was the second powerful storm to batter the low-lying coastal state in 2 weeks.
All those folks who not only lost their homes, but more importantly, those folks who lost their lives, lost family members, lost all their personal belongings. Entire neighborhoods were flooded, and millions were without power.
Everything's gone. Only thing standing is the main part of the restaurant, the first floor of the packing house, and the flagpole.
Matt Schorner owns Al's Family Farm Restaurant in Fort Pierce on Florida's Atlantic coast, just across the peninsula from where Milton made landfall. Schorner's grandfather Al founded a citrus farm here 46 years ago. Most of the historic red barn that houses the eatery is still standing, but nearly everything else of the citrus business was taken by tornadoes that swept in with Hurricane Milton.
We don't know what's next, but we're taking it one day at a time.
Body cam footage showed officers rescuing people and pets trapped in their homes in Florida's Hillsborough County after Hurricane Milton brought widespread flooding. Biden said that such disasters were calls for unity.
It's in moments like this we come together to take care of each other, not as Democrats or Republicans, but as Americans.
That was the political message carried by Vice President Kamala Harris, the Democratic candidate for the White House, as she campaigned on Sunday in North Carolina, a state slammed by Hurricane Helene 2 weeks ago.
And these hurricanes have revealed heroes around all of us. Heroes who do not ask the injured or stranded, whether they are a Republican or a Democrat, but who simply ask, are you okay?
Harris castigated those who spread misinformation ahead of and immediately after the storm. Her Republican challenger, former President Donald Trump, is among those who amplified falsehoods in the form of conspiracy theories.
In particular, with respect to North Carolina, they've let those people suffer unjustly.
Among them, the unfounded claim that the Biden administration had diverted funds meant for disaster relief to help house illegal immigrants.
Right now, fellow Americans are experiencing some of the most difficult moments in their lives. Yet instead of offering hope, there are those who are channeling people's tragedies and sorrows into grievance and hatred.
The wave of misinformation saw at least 3 congressional Republicans condemn conspiracy theories repeated by fellow members of their party.
China's military launched a new round of war games near Taiwan on Monday, drawing condemnation from the governments in Taipei and the U.S. Chinese state media reported that China's Coast Guard circled Taiwan and staged rare operations of, quote, law enforcement patrols close to Taiwan's offshore islands. The Chinese military's Eastern Theater Command said the drills were taking place in the Taiwan Strait and 9 areas around the island. The command also said the drills were a, quote, stern warning to the separatist acts of Taiwan Independence Forces and did not say when they would end. Taiwan's Defense Ministry and Coast Guard said Monday that both agencies had dispatched their own forces. Fighter jets were seen taking off and landing at Taiwan's Hsinchu Air Base Monday morning. And Taiwan's Coast Guard released this video said to show one of its ships broadcasting a message asking a Chinese Coast Guard vessel to leave its waters. A Taiwan security source said there were no signs so far of any missile launches. Democratically governed Taiwan, which China views as its own territory, had been on alert for more war games since last week's National Day speech by President Lai Ching-te. Lai's address was condemned by Beijing after he said China had no right to represent Taiwan, even as he offered to cooperate with Beijing. China's Eastern Theater Command released this propaganda video Monday, which showed a cartoon caricature of Lai with pointed ears like a devil. Taiwanese officials said Lai's National Security Council convened on Monday to discuss the situation. The Council's Secretary General, Joseph Wu, said that Taiwan would not escalate the conflict.
We also need to stay calm and confident to prevail in the struggle between democracy and authoritarianism. We will stay moderate and responsible and work hard to maintain the cross-strait status quo to help maintain peace and stability in the region.
A senior Taiwan security official speaking to Reuters on condition of anonymity said they believe China was practicing blockading Taiwanese ports and international shipping lanes, as well as repelling the arrival of foreign forces. In Washington, officials from the administration of U.S. President Joe Biden said there was no justification for the drills and that they were continuing to monitor them.
We're now down to 3 Raptor engines. We can see those chopsticks now in the rear. At the launch tower. What an incredible view!
Are you kidding me? What we just saw, that looked like magic. Wow.
Dad, your view must have been insane.
At this upscale restaurant in the foodie mecca of Sao Paulo, a novel star ingredient is being served: tofu. Despite being the world's top producer of soybeans, Brazilians eat rather little of it, making soy a pricey niche offering. Sushi Mar's owner Maria Cermelli says there's a prejudice against tofu here. That's in part because most of Brazil's soybeans are grown to be exported to Asia and Europe to fatten up livestock. And 98% of it is genetically modified to withstand the heavy use of herbicide. All of that has added to a stigma in the local market. So, most food companies offering tofu and soy milk to choosy Brazilians rely on expensive parallel farming of non-GMO soybeans, or imported products from as far off as Japan.
It's crazy to think that Brazil, as the largest soy producer in the world, is actually also an importer of soy.
Gus Guadagnini is Good Food Institute's Brazil CEO, a think tank studying the development of meat alternatives.
And that's exactly because the soybean produced in Brazil is being used to feed animals, while when we want to buy non-GMO soy protein to be used in the food industry, they have to import from other countries.
That's pushed up the price of soy you do find here in Brazil. Brazilians making minimum wage would need to fork over a full day's pay for just 250 grams of tofu, All the while, Brazil ships over 1 million tons a week of soybeans to China on average. Brazil is forecast to produce a record 170 million metric tons of soybeans in its next harvest, more than the United States. Agriculture consultancy Agromeris found Brazil was the only major market for foods made with soybeans in decline. But back at Sushimar, Chermelli says attitudes towards soy are slowly evolving.
Mas eu acho que isso está mudando muito porque
I think this is changing a lot because there are a lot of people adhering to the vegan diet. And so I think that this prejudice is decreasing more and more. And I think that because of this, there is much better quality tofu today.